Okay, everybody, welcome to the Mountain Buff Show. We are here with Shelby and Ashlyn, and we're going to be talking about behind the scenes with your real estate team. We've got Shelby back. She's been in before. She's awesome. She's our preferred lender here. She's with First Community Bank, and she's great at what she does.
Absolutely amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you.
And then we have Ashlyn, who's here with Hickman Title. She recently got married, bought her first home in Roy. She's been in title work for 3 years.
Yep.
And they are really good with residential and construction title work. So we'll kind of just hop in. Ashlyn, I don't know if you want to kind of give us a little bit of background of what title work is, because I feel like people know a little bit about real estate agents, a little bit about lenders, but title work, they're like, oh, I don't know.
They're like, what is that? Do I need to worry about it?
Yeah.
Behind the scenes magic men is what
Yeah.
you guys are.
So as a title company, we insure not the property, but the land that you are buying or that you own, that there's no other interest in there. We disclose any easements, agreements on the property that might be there so that you know if like a power line company shows up and it's like, I need to get through your backyard. You're not like, what? I was never told this. You can look at your title work and you can see that. So in the real estate business, how I work with Shelby and Michaela is they send me your contracts or your loans or any information, and we start searching your property. And we go from there.
Love it.
So as a real estate team, you've got your real estate agent, your title company, and your lender. And these people are going to be the backbone of your deal. They're going to make sure that you're protected as you go through your deal and that you're hitting all of your deadlines. So together as a team, I mean, we've worked together quite a bit.
Yeah.
We don't always work together, but it's nice to know each other and how we all work together. So Shelby, a little bit from you, like how do you feel like on your end you're kind of coinciding with title and agents?
Yeah, so on the lender side, definitely like we get the application started, work through that, and then our processing team is kind of like our mortgage back office team really. They actually order a lot of the stuff from title. So I would like you to take over from here and see what you see from the lender side and how that first step is done once the application under contract and then kind of how you start.
Yeah. So once Shelby's team gets us over the title order, we take the address, the names, and any other information from that order. We'll search it in the system. So depending on the county, whatever county, we'll search up what's called an abstract, which goes over anything recorded on the property from when it was started, when it was developed, until current date or the most recent date that they have it abstracted through. We'll search judgments against people, which is a surprise for a lot of people. So federal tax liens, state tax liens, or if you have a judgment against like a credit card, if you haven't been paying your credit card, we see that. And that has to be paid off in order for you to sell your home or to ensure first lien position for the lender.
Oh, wow. I actually had no idea.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah. So we get a lot of surprises over on the title side. So after we do our initial search, our title department, there's two different parts. There's the escrow and the title department. So we open the file with the escrow department, send it to our title department, and they search everything on the property, disclose it in what's called a preliminary title report. In that report, it shows everything that's important for everyone to see. So again, the easements, agreements, the liens on the property, trustees, judgments, divorces, if there's a probate done, anything like that, we get to see that. And then we get back to work with the lender. We send them the preliminary title report and we say, here's what's on it. We'll send it to the agents. They'll say, here's what's on it. And then they'll get back and see if there's anything we need to work together to get it taken care of.
Nice.
And as an agent on my end, I love working with Ashlyn because I get these reports and I can go through and there's like a list. It's like exceptions B.
Yeah.
And I can look through those and be like, okay, Ashlyn, what does this mean? What does this mean? How do we get it cleared? And she takes it from there. So it's nice to have an agent that can kind of look through that and say, okay, this is something to worry about. This is something not to worry about. Let's get with our title company and see what can be cleared just so we make sure our bases are covered on everybody's ends.
And what's nice on our title report, we have, like you said, the exceptions, restrictions, and requirements. Our requirements are what needs to be cleared in order to move forward. So an example of a requirement we have is for HOA. So there's what's called protective covenants that are recorded on the property that usually designate that there is a homeowners association that needs to be paid monthly, yearly, or however they're set up. And so we'll go back to either the MLS if we have it, or we'll reach out to the agent and say, is this home in an HOA? If it's an HOA, we order those payments. We order the payoff and move forward with that to make sure it's disclosed to everybody.
Gotcha. There's so much detail. You're like, I'm going to buy this house, and you go and do this, and there's so much in the background that is so crazy.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to hear about.
Which is why it's so important to pick your team well, I feel like.
Yeah,
Because
my goodness.
as as buyers, you really don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes. And I think sometimes it's good that way.
Yeah.
Like an agent can call you or a title can call you and say, hey, we ran into this issue and it's resolved.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we're not putting it on
Right.
them to go through and fix everything
Yeah.
on themselves because
Yeah,
It
a
definitely
big
can be
thing in the
daunting.
title industry that we always say is no news is good news because that means nothing's going wrong.
Yes. I love that.
yeah, for sure.
That's so awesome. So after the title report comes back to me, then that's really just
That's what we do until we get the
that's
closing
what we do.
disclosure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the big chunk of like, here's all the meat of
The
this.
initial part of the transaction.
Yeah, and then we kind of just continue with what we're doing on our end, get everything done, and then that's when we balance the CD with you, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that next part of where you really come into play is on my side with the closing disclosure. So that is like that final document. When we send you a loan estimate and you're kind of looking, these are all like the rough estimated numbers. You know, at that point, you may not even have a title company involved. It just depends on who you're working with, but it will kind of just have estimates with everything. But the closing disclosure, those are all the final numbers. And so that's where we have to get with title and make sure everything's balancing with the seller side and with the buyer side and then with
Yep.
the lender side. So
Yeah.
those are all three of those parties. And then as soon as that's all balanced, that's when we issue it to the borrower
Yeah.
and
And it's important to have title included on balancing the CD because we verify our title fees, which is our homeowner's policy, any endorsements that are required by the lender, our settlement fee, recording fees, everything like that. At that point, you'll have a look into what the taxes are for the property, so then we can do tax proration if it's a purchase. And then any homeowners association fees will prorate as well. And then a lot of them have what's called a transaction fee or reinvestment fee that they charge either the buyer, seller, whatever's designated in the contract.
so kind of go over some of those fees that you see from title companies and what they're for. Like what do you do as a title company and also how can someone shop for title fees?
Yeah. So how to shop for title fees is you call around is the easiest way to say it. There's a bunch of different title companies out there. There's ones that have their own underwriters or they are their own underwriters. There's ones that have different underwriters. For example, my company has 3 different underwriters, so we can base the price of your owner's policy, your lender's policy off of your sales price and go through the 3 underwriters we have and see which one's the cheapest option for you. Another thing to look out for is all settlement fees are going to be different across the board, any title company. So they can range anywhere from like $100 to $1,000. So you got to be aware of that.
So the settlement fees like the big one there.
Yeah, that's the one that fluctuates the most between different title companies.
What's that one for?
That just covers our doc prep, any wire fees, any just our what we do, the title search, everything like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the policy amount is what covers you as the individual and your land. That's where you could come in with a claim if there's anything wrong, if there was interest in your land that you weren't aware of, if somebody came to you, that's what that owner's policy fee is for.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's based off of your sales price. It's around, they always say title fees are like 0.5% of whatever your sales price is going to be.
Okay, so that one's not really necessarily a good one to shop because that's going to be pretty much
It's
the
going to
same
be
all
pretty
around.
similar all around.
Gotcha.
So, but it's still good to get different quotes from different places because this is money that costs you as a person. It doesn't get paid by anybody else.
Right, that's closing costs out of your
Yeah,
pocket,
Closing
right?
costs out of your pocket.
Yeah, so you calling and shopping for $1,000 to save, that's $1,000 you could save to go buy new furniture or go buy whatever you want to when you move into your house. So
Yep.
that's a big one.
Which is crazy because I think when everyone thinks shopping, they definitely think shopping a lender.
Oh, yeah.
They don't think shopping a title company because it's just so in Utah. I think it's important to say like title companies are required.
Yep.
So you need to shop to find someone that's gonna save you that $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
because that can go a long
Yeah.
way.
And I've been in title for 3 years, and I probably had 2 or 3 calls about people saying I'm shopping different title companies. Like, it's not common.
It's rare.
It's
no, but
very
you could
rare.
save so much money.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how much difference was that quote that I had sent you the other day?
Shelby sent me one, and comparative to what the other title company was quoting, we were like $1,500 cheaper.
That's so crazy.
So it's
Seriously.
yeah,
Yeah, so you definitely need to ask. And this is something that I feel like not everyone knows too is the agent is usually the one that has a really good connection with the title company. So start with that one because they're going to have great connection, a great relationship, and that's important. But don't be afraid to be like, hey, I'm shopping title companies. So we can use yours. We can see if they can match it. But ultimately, you need to look out for your best interest. You need to take control of your transaction. It's your home. So you need to take that initiative to go out and ask and shop. And a great agent and a great lender, they'll shop for you too. They'll have their pool of the title companies, and they'll say, hey, for this scenario, this purchase price, this, how much are your title fees? And then you can get that comparison, and we can get it to you too. If you don't feel comfortable shopping, because that's the thing too, it's kind of intimidating and scary. You're like, how much money you charging me? So it can kind of be rough. So if you don't feel like, you know the right question to ask, we do. So we can help you save money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you guys have any experiences, I guess, with agents, title companies, or lenders on any of your sides that you're like, holy cow, that deal was terrible?
All the time. All the time. Most recent one is I got a call from an agent and was like, hey, I just sent over a contract. I don't know if you have the order or not, but we're closing on Wednesday. It was Monday. And so
You are kidding me.
Yeah. So.
And you didn't have it?
No, we did not have the order. And
Oh
so
my
we had to rush processing. Got closed. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
But this.
Well, you guys are wicked fast.
Yeah.
So I no doubt in my mind when I worried that you couldn't do it, but that's
Yeah.
crazy.
And so we got the contract over, got it to search, and got about the preliminary report. Luckily, these people didn't have anything against them that was weird or hard to get cleared or anything like that.
That is
But it's important for us to get the contract as soon as possible, because if it's on the seller side, we have to request a mortgage payoff. And some mortgage lenders are more difficult than others to get payoffs from as a
Sure.
third party.
right.
And
Just
so-
like the big corporations,
Yeah.
it might be a little rougher.
Exactly. Yep. So it's always good to have a little extra time in between when the contract's done and when we have the order to settlement deadline.
Definitely.
Because you want to have everything on your closing disclosure correct at closing. You don't want to have a preliminary number and have to wait 3 days to get the final numbers.
Well, and that's what I think Michaela's really great at too. Is she just CCs we're just one big happy family.
Maybe a little too much.
No, I love it.
just-
I love
over
it.
communication, I feel like, is good communication.
Yeah.
So
Heck
You can never have too much
No.
communication. I'd rather have 4
Oh my
copies of the
gosh.
contract than none.
Seriously. So I think it's so wonderful. So that's really important.
how
too.
long had they been under contract for?
Since the 16th of January, it closed the 17th of February.
Ashlyn. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Shelby, what about you? Do you have any like that you can think of where it was just you were frustrated with an agent or a title company?
Oh my. Well, not necessarily. I feel like I've actually been super lucky. I have not had like a blow up experience, but there's definitely been things that you're like, oh, okay, maybe we slacked a little bit on that, but we could do better.
Yeah.
It's fine, it's good. But that's kind of what I like too about who I work with is it's like we learned something, so we're gonna be okay. But I have been so fortunate enough to not have anything
Yeah.
blow up on me. Good thing this is
Yeah,
on the table.
right. Knock on wood. So Shelby's
about-
amazing at disclosing everything up front. So I think she starts the conversation with good communication, and so that creates a good relationship between her and her clients and everyone else.
Thank you. I really try to. I'm in the same boat. Over communication is the best type of
Yeah.
communication. But what about you?
Yeah.
Have you
What
had
are your
anything?
experiences, either with title company, lenders, or people where you're like, oh crap?
Lenders are interesting. I love when I get to work with Shelby because we just know how we vibe together, and so that's nice. And as an agent, you get thrown in with a lot of different lenders, which can be a good thing because you learn a lot. I think it mostly just falls on when a lender isn't super knowledgeable about their products. Not a specific thing I can think of, honestly, but yeah, I've definitely run into when lenders kind of say something and then they back up their words and they're like,
Sure.
oh, this actually isn't going to work, and we're kind of in a bind on closing and our deadlines and all of that.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's
Definitely,
that's
that can be
scary, and
frustrating.
that's what's hard too. Is that when you're in this industry, you're like, oh, there's like, it's a type of sales, right? But
Yeah.
you're like, there's no sharks out there. What? Like we're fine, but there
Yeah.
are. It's
Yeah.
scary. You really, and that's another big reason why I'm like, please go shop lenders, because if anyone ever thinks that I am being sharky or trying to get their business or anything or overwhelming, that would be my worst fear, is that somebody would ever think that. So I'm
Yeah.
like, just go shop, and if you get a good vibe, then stick with me. If not, then I don't know. I think just comparing and then having someone you trust to talk about certain products that work for you, and then when you talk to other lenders, ask them about those specific products and see their take on it. But I usually can point out some pretty big red flags right when I take the application, because I'm really open about the debt and the income and trying to point out those red flags and the possibilities and being knowledgeable about the product and what we can and cannot accept, because we have policies and guidelines through Fannie and Freddie that we have to follow. And that's the thing too. Different places and different institutions have different in-house policies, I guess you would say, that they can do, and exceptions and concessions and things. But Fannie and Freddie, they have their policies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
their, investors have their manuals. You can look through things really easily, very upfront, to figure out what's going on. Once in a blue moon, something pops up that you're like, oh man. But for the most part, you could be pretty due diligent on your stuff that you're looking up. So
Yeah.
you definitely want to have your right people.
Which is one thing I love about Shelby. And I've said this, I think I said this in your other podcast, but she thinks like an underwriter. And so she can come and talk to you and be like, okay, here's what I have. This is what I'm worried about. This is what we need to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's always thinking one step ahead of the game, which I freaking love about
Oh,
her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I really would hope that it's not overwhelming to my borrowers, because a lot of the stuff that finding the hard balance of over communicating and then not being like, oh my gosh, it was a roller coaster the whole time. Like, I don't want anyone to ever think that. But we always have to come up with a game plan, right? Like, if we're like, hey, I just want you guys to know, like, this is right now, it's on the fence of what's going to happen. It's their decision of what they want to do. But
Yeah.
I feel like it's been rare and rare with house prices going up and interest rates going up, and that bench of the first-time home buyers and the income requirement to get
Yeah.
into a first home. It's tooth and nail to get into a home right now for first-time home
Yeah.
buyers, which in that case, there's higher debt-to-income ratios. There's situations like that where you really can't have a lot of debt to get into a home right now. And so it's just those things that when we're getting kind of close on our ratios there, it's just really important to come up with a game plan of, if it goes above 50, we may have to switch to FHA. And then if we switch to FHA, that's stuff on the contract, that's stuff, on other stuff
Yeah.
that we have to fix. It's a different appraisal. We have to order a whole new appraisal. So that's the things that's why I'm super transparent, because one little thing can change the whole transaction.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and Michaela went through an experience with some clients that we had a file together on recently, where at the last minute the lender's like, we need to remove this fence because there's lead-based paints because there's a FHA loan. And so Michaela, queen, went out there and removed the fence with her clients, but this pushed
Can't
back
believe
closing date until, I think it was supposed to close on Friday, and we closed on Monday instead
Mm-hmm.
because of that. And she was very transparent with me to let me know that we needed to reschedule. This is what's going on. I'll let you know once we have a final set thing. And I'm sure she's the same way with all of her clients.
for sure. Yeah, that's what's hard too, because I don't really know the whole story with that too, but do you know if the appraiser, did that have anything to do with it, with the exception on the appraisal, if they had to get it fixed?
Yeah, so it was a condition by the appraiser to
Mhm.
come out and get everything fixed. So quick shout out to Ben with our team, because he came and freaking knocked out the fence for me or helped me knock out the fence. So that was awesome. But yeah, it was the appraiser. So it wasn't on the lender's side really, but I think like in hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On my end, I could have gone back and said like, okay, guys, we saw this coming. Let's just take it out now rather
Sure.
than
Right.
waiting.
Sure.
So, but in this situation, we thought we could hold money in escrow to do it later because it was so
Oh.
cold.
Yeah.
But it ended up not getting approved, like you said, literally 3 days before closing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
And that's what's so hard too, is because there's so many things that it's like me as a lender, I'm going to my underwriter saying, can we do this? And then being like, oh, but they also have 10 other files they're working on at that time. So that's why it's so hard. But I don't know. I think just having a good team that you know is going to be fighting for you, because I will send 7 emails and email my head underwriter and be like, someone please give me an answer today. Tomorrow's not an option. But yeah, so anyway, we all know that things happen. I think just when you're getting into this and getting into this experience, just having an open mind and just your gut feeling. And if it will work, it'll work. And it's going to be good, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and choosing people that you vibe with,
mm-hmm.
that you
Oh,
can
yeah.
trust is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to get to that closing table happy. You want to feel like you had the best experience you could. Buying a house is a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And if you get to that closing room and it's just like signing papers.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I explain the papers at title officers, escrow officers, they go over the paperwork. It's a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it's getting thrown at you. It's a lot of information. But at the end, you want them to come in with your copies and say, congratulations, you just signed on your first house. And you guys want to be,
yeah.
confetti, hands in the air, super excited. And if
Mhm.
you're working with a team that doesn't bring that hype about
Yeah.
this big life financial decision for you guys, that's not the team for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. You make every closing a party.
Oh, stop it.
You really do. You really do. If I'm having a bad day and I walk in, I'm like, oh, I feel better now. It's awesome. It's so good.
Well, I think that brings us to like I think if we could break it down for everybody, I know we've gone through this big, long podcast, but if you could break down 3 things to tell a new buyer or an existing buyer what to do to shop for you, what would you say for title work?
For title work, for
3 main
shopping,
things.
I would make sure to call. There's been a lot recently of just like pop-up title companies. Not like a bad thing, like that's fine, but there's a lot of new ones out there, people branching off of maybe they were with a more established one and like, I'm going to go make my own kind of thing. And so you want to make sure with someone who's established, someone trustworthy, and that their fees are reasonable, because you do get what you paid for. And so some are more expensive, some are in the mid-range, and some are cheaper, but you want someone there who's experienced, knowledgeable, and can answer any of your questions. That, I think, is a big thing. But
I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that.
How about you, Shob, as a lender? What are you like 3 main things you need to know to shop?
So when I first start, and if they're people that, you know, I've talked to before or worked with and stuff, I always tell them, because when you get your credit pulled, the credit bureaus know that you're shopping for a home. So it actually doesn't affect your credit as much as people would think that it would.
yeah,
So they give you the opportunity to do that. But if you find somebody that you like and trust when you're shopping to get pre-qualified, I don't recommend ever shopping for interest rates right up front. I mean, you could definitely be like, hey, what are your rates right now? But that is so dependent on so many things. Like your credit score tier, 680 to the 700 to 720, 740. If you are in any of those tiers, it could affect your credit. Or I mean, well, obviously your credit, but it could affect your interest rate. So when you're just saying, hey, what's your interest rate? Usually when I pull up my system, I put 740 in. So that's just assuming that you have, and you can ask, what's your approximate credit score, which also blows my mind that, 75% of the population out there have no idea what their credit score is.
yeah.
So that's where it's kind of hard to gauge, right? So what I would recommend is maybe talking to your agent and saying, who do you work well with? Who do you recommend? Starting with them, get your credit pulled with that lender. And also, it's your transaction. So if you talk to this person and you're like, first of all, I don't know why you, agent, are working with this lender because they're not great. Because that's also a thing, too. So then, you can shop or just with
Right.
conversations. But usually, it'll hopefully be a good relationship for you. And so you can get your credit pulled with them. And then they know your credit score because they pulled it. And so then they're going to know the situation. So you can then take that, and then you can go ask other lenders. You can say, hey, with this scenario, because I know I can afford a $500,000 purchase price and I'm putting $100,000 down, my credit score is this, what are your rates? That's all the information they need to know to give you their rates and their fees. You need to ask for their fees too, because they're charging you for that rate. So you just need to ask them those types of questions. So for this scenario, what are your rates? What are your fees? They'll send you a, kind of like a worksheet that has comparisons with different things. But anyone is going to want to try to keep your business. So that's another thing too. Most people will try to match or shop,
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend, I guess. Just pick one, kind of pull your credit, get going with them, and then take that information and then go and email like 3 different brokers or your bank or whoever, and usually that lender will be able to match what they're doing. If you like working with them and their team, they're going to want your business and they're going to want to work with you. It's very rare occasion where I've seen something that we're like, oh, no, we can't do that, you know? Yeah. So you definitely want to make your money work for you, and if any good lender gets outshopped and they can't do something, they should applaud you because you did it, and they should want your best interest in mind too. So you just want to make sure that you're in good communication and that you have people that are going to help you try to save money, because there was a broker out there that was almost a whole % lower than me. I don't know how they were making money on those loans, but I mean, it worked out for my borrower. It was great for them, you know? So that's where you just have to do that. And I will never discourage shopping. I have contacts of different brokers that I can give you that I'm like, you go see so I can save you money, okay? So that's what you got to do. But yeah, so never be discouraged or shy or anything like that, and I think if you do it in the right way, then as long as you're respectful and you're good communication, there's no hurt feelings, you just do what you got to do.
Just, hey, I'm shopping around to see if I can get a better rate. And if the people you're working with are good people, and be like, I'm good, like that, I'm so happy for you.
Yep.
Like, that is so smart.
Exactly.
When I bought my house, Shelby was like, you need to shop, Ashlyn. And I was like, no, I'm going to work with this one guy. She's like, you should go shop. And I was like, yeah, totally, shopping. I'll go shopping. I love shopping. And like now she's explained it a lot better to me, and I'm like, oh, I get it. I know what to do next time.
I love that. That's so awesome. Yeah, I think just coming to terms with how the market is right now, and if people will full on just like send me an email and be like, what are your rates? And I'll be like, well, with this type of scenario, I'm just assuming your credit score is this. This is kind of what I'm getting at. And then it's just like ghost town. So it's like, oh man. So
Yeah.
I mean, and you get that, and that's fine. They're the number people, and that's all right. So I think it's just a matter of who you are and how you communicate and what you got to do. So, and we also know that too. Not everyone is a freaking crazy person like me and likes to be everyone's best friend. So I get that people are just gonna email in and do that, but you got to do it. You got to shop. You got to save your money, make your money work for you, and that's smart investing. Buying a house is an investment. Smart investing.
One
Yeah.
of your
Gotta do
biggest
it.
investments you'll ever
Yep. Mm-hmm. What about you? What would you recommend when people shop for agents?
Yes.
Oh,
This
wow.
is the $1 million question. This is what we came here for.
Yes.
Oh, I think honestly, if you could talk to someone and ask them about their experience, if they've had a bad experience with an agent, it's usually their responsiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So I think responsiveness is a big one. And is that agent working in the area that you're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so big to have an agent that's like, hey, this one just popped up in your area. This one just popped up in their area. Or this one just sold for $50,000 less. Like, it's important for them to know their market.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the last one is, do they have your best interest in mind? Are they going to walk you through a house that is garbage and tell you it's the perfect investment? Are they going to point out the cracked windows or the stupid people that pull up carpet and don't fix the baseboards?
Yeah.
Seriously.
When you walk through a home, I feel like your eyes go to all the good things.
Uh-huh.
And so
the makeup, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is
paint color is amazing.
remodeled.
Look at
This
this.
is
They put a
like
built-in here.
staging as a seller's agent, obviously we love staging.
Yeah.
It can set a home up so well. But as a buyer's agent, you're looking through that.
Oh yeah.
And so being able to look through those things and just have their best interest in mind, that's going to be huge because you can push anything on somebody.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
And I
definitely.
think someone patient as well, because the market the past couple years up and down, crazy, insane. And there was points where buyers were looking at homes for 4 months.
Oh yeah.
4 months trying to find
And
the home.
putting in 25 offers.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And you want the agent that's like, we're going to get the next one. We're going to get the next one. Not that, oh, we have to go see another house today.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh, we've seen like 80 of them. You know,
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
someone who's patient and always shows up like it's day one.
Yeah. If anyone ever makes you feel like you're a burden for wanting to go see something or they had something else planned, ditch them.
Yeah, you're paying
Leave.
them.
Yeah.
You're paying them.
And that's
Seriously.
so important too, is like you sign contracts with your agent. You don't really sign contracts with a lender or with a title
No.
company until later. So make sure, like I said, your agent has your best interest in mind. But if this partnership isn't going to work out, how do I get out of this contract? Because as a brokerage, and this is like Mountain Buff wide, we go back and we say, okay, if you don't like how I'm performing, you have every right to fire me as an agent.
I like
I
that.
love that.
Because
And-
there's a lot of agreements that's like 6 months.
Yeah.
You're stuck. If you try to look
Oh.
at a house with a different agent in the next 6 months, like
Yeah,
we signed a
absolutely.
contract.
Right.
Absolutely, you can't write contracts with anybody else, and there are a lot of agents that will hold you to that.
Mhm.
And I just don't see why. Like, if a partnership's not working,
Yeah.
don't
And they have you sign it before you even start looking at houses, so you don't even know how they are during the process.
see in our process. We don't usually make you sign one until you see or put an offer in on that first home, and then we make the contract for just that house.
Gotcha.
Let me show you my performance before I contract you with me.
Right.
And then if you like how we're working together, we can sign a 6-month contract. And then, again, if like you're ever not impressed,
You can back out.
you can fire me anytime.
Wow. That's really nice.
That is very nice.
Yeah, I love
So-
that. But no one's ever going to fire you
Yeah,
guys
no.
because you guys are all
Yeah,
just
yeah.
amazing. But yeah, so I really like that. That's awesome.
Hey guys, well I think we've done a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've
Excited.
covered any questions.
Yeah.
If
If there's any
not,
questions, reach
we're
out.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere,
Oh, yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So where can people find you guys?
You can find me on Instagram, ash_bash0005. We also just started a page for our company, Hickman Land Title. So it's HLT Layton is the one I manage. We also have a Logan and South Jordan office. So HLT Logan, HLT South Jordan. Like our page on Facebook. We have a website, hickmantitle.com. It'll answer a lot of questions. We have shows our team, everyone you can work with, meet. So,
I love it.
or you can call me.
Yeah. Hickman's great.
You're great.
Yeah.
How about you, Shelb? Where
Oh.
can people find you?
Shelby_mortgage hello. You
Yeah.
know? Oh. Yeah, and then my website's also on my Instagram, and you could get my number anywhere too. Just, you
Mhm.
know, just DM me. I'll send it to you. I'm pretty sure it's actually on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.